right.
Yeah, we're here.
Let's do the podcast.
You want to do it?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice DM.
It's Thunderheads with Brandon Soul,
Shame.
Rob Larson, Justin Wright, and the dark and stormy Jason Lewis.
It is evidently.
Brandon, I'm going to stop you right
God.
there. I want to remind everyone how bad, really, really bad, at basketballs Brandon is.
Yeah, real bad.
Shame.
Shame.
Lost 2 in a row. Lost 2 in a row. It's my punishment. I guess my punishment is just them shaming me the entire time. I'm not really sure.
That's
I guess we're going to find out as the day goes on. It is evidently Rob Larson, the doctor's Christmas today.
Yeah, I thought I'd class things up a little bit for you guys today.
Look at that.
Christmas tie.
Yeah.
So that is a sweater that has a tie built in.
I've got buttons. It's the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you get that?
For the Christmas party this year,
Oh,
Chelsea came through in the clutch and made me wear this, I guess. And,
Really?
yeah, it's a little warm
So
in
this
here.
is the
I'm
second
warm.
time you've worn it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little sad. I wish we would have got the first time. It is a little warm. I'm
It
sorry.
is a little warm, and
I
this
had
is real thick.
You know,
so-
I do have one of those modern AC thermostats, so I can edit it from my phone. It's not a big deal.
Edit the temperature.
I'll edit the temperature from my phone. Before we get into it, I want to break a little news about us to you guys. If you're not super familiar with us and what we do, outside of this show, if you just kind of mainly watch these shows on YouTube, we do a podcast called The Aftershocks after pretty much all of the Thunder games except some. Those Aftershocks are exclusively released as audio on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all those podcast places. And over the past couple weeks, we've been telling you that those Aftershocks are moving exclusively to Patreon, and things have changed a little bit. That's not happening. Change of plans. We're not doing that. That's something that you guys will probably be a little excited about. You don't have to pay for those. We're going to keep things just how they are. You're going to get those Aftershocks for free, the audio and everything. However, we are going to start doing video with those Aftershocks. We're going to start recording those Aftershocks live so you can join us immediately after the games, and those are going to go to Patreon. And so it's just a little way for those of you that do want to help us out, continue doing what we're doing, continue to grow, just help us get bigger and help us continue to, I don't know, update the set, help our equipment, help sound quality, just the little things. If you just want to do those things, it'll be like $2 or $3 or something like that. You get to hang out with us after the games, and we'll be talking about the games and
toss questions in there and stuff.
toss questions in there. Just there'll be a lot of little perks, and we get a little more in depth in those Aftershocks too. If you're not familiar with them, they're a little more serious than we are during these shows. They're a little more.
Unless I'm there.
Still though, even I mean, we focus on those games even when Jason is there, but everything's staying how it is. So those Aftershocks will remain free. We just wanted to let you into that. I'm sure some of you will be excited about that. Also on that Patreon page, we're gonna have a Shirt of the Month club teamed up with Opolis Clothing, and you're gonna get, if you sign up for that, it's a tier on our Patreon. You're gonna get one of their best Thunder shirts each and every month delivered to your doorstep. It's a really cool deal. You'll save money on the shirt itself, and you'll get all the perks with us on the Aftershock. So it's like kind of a win-win situation. So how about that? It's kind of cool, right?
They have only cool T-shirts and other stuff, but their shirts are all cool, so
Yeah, they're
not going to lose out on that
Yep.
deal.
And they'll all just be unique and different, and sometimes they print limited supplies of certain shirts and stuff, and you never know, you might get one of those. They're really, really cool. And then another perk of that Patreon thing, and we're trying to do this at the start of 2019. We're really trying to get this off the ground so we can start doing these things. You'll get an extra podcast a month, and it'll be a Q&A, mailbag type podcast that we'll just come, we'll hang out, we'll take your questions and stuff like that. So it'll be cool. All right. Now, let's welcome in that YouTube crowd, that Twitch crowd, that Periscope crowd. If you enjoy the show, go ahead and click that thumbs up button for us. It does help us out. Before we get into it, before we get into everything, is that the punishment? You guys just shaming me all?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just shaming you
Yeah,
the
okay.
entire time.
Okay, so
As you can see here, you're really bad at basketballs.
I'm really bad.
Terrible. So bad that you've lost both of them.
We'll see how today goes. We still got a draw at the end of the show. We'll see how that goes.
It's probably
right?
going to be you being bad at it.
Why do you just assume these
Shame.
things?
He's tied for first on this
That's right.
season of basketball.
This week or whatever you want to call it.
This
Season.
installment.
This season. All right. You guys want to get into it?
Shame.
Let's do it.
Thunder go 2-2 this week. Win at the Jazz. Lose 2 in a row against the Pelicans and the Nuggets. get back on track last night against the Clippers, and a pretty fun game to watch. How do you feel about this team right now, Rob? Start with you here. I mean, this is a weird week, right? I don't know. It's kind of hard to grasp what we're seeing from this team right now because they were kind of all over the place, but it is nice to see them come home and take care of business, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that they would go 3-1 over the stretch. Maybe a little too lofty of a goal. I think 2-2 feels okay. With this team, it's always how they look more so than I think that end result, just because we don't know exactly what we have still. I think there's still like how last season ended coming into this year, the changes, like you still, I don't know, you still don't know what you can trust and what's real and what's not real with this team. And so for me, it's about how they look, and it has been a little rough at times, and then it's been really good at times.
Yeah.
So probably somewhere in the middle. I don't know. We still have to figure out where that is.
Does it feel like the tipping point for this team, kind of what decides if they win or lose games, is that bench and how much you get? Like even last night, I don't have the box score pulled up. That's my bad. I should have had the box score pulled up. But I want to say 8 or 10 points from Diallo, 6-8 points from Abrina, something like that, right? So it's not like some crazy amount that they got from those two guys, but even that helps.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, what was it, the Nuggets game? No one helped, right?
Right. I mean, the past few games before that, no one was really helping.
No one was doing anything. Like, you got Schroeder's points, but then I think in the Nuggets game, Patrick Patterson had 3 points, and that's all you got from the bench. Like,
that was literally it.
Yeah. Well, and Schroeder's a part of the bench, of course, but for the sake of this, for
we're talking like the role players on the bench, because he's kind of a pretty large piece of the team. But I mean, I think that's kind of how this week went. Like, as you got assistance from the bench, we were able to win a game. So
I'd agree with that. It felt weird after the Pelicans game, after the Nuggets game, where you're like, oh no, is this team kind of what we saw all season long? Is that not who this team is? Because now the schedule's ramping up. Now they're dropping these games against these tougher opponents, and they're not winning games on the road that it feels like they should win, especially against that Denver team where they're down a lot of guys. I don't, and the Clippers were missing Lou Williams, who's their closer, and the Thunder let them right back in the game kind of at the end, and kind of things got a little dicey at the end. So maybe I'm giving them too much credit for that win, but hey, I felt like the Thunder actually played a pretty good game against the Clippers.
It seemed really solid. Like they did a lot of things really well outside of letting LA come back. They look good. It looked like the team that can be successful. The good things that we've seen kind of over this last stretch of 15 games, where you were reminded this roster's built pretty well. They can be successful, and they played really good defense again. It looked, they kind of lapsed, especially on 3-point defense against Denver. I mean, Denver lit them up from beyond the arc. They looked like they got back into it last night against the Clippers.
And I think it's that the fourth quarter, especially over this week stretch, where the Thunder are not doing enough late in the game. That's kind of the problem. And part of it also is they're leaving themselves to have really good fourth quarters whenever they're losing these games. Like they're having to really fight back at the end, where especially over the stretch where it feels like they're just not in the game or they don't have it that night, and then at the very end they do just enough to stay just close enough to where you feel like they have a shot.
That's
just to get our hopes up.
But that's also their defense. I think that shows a little bit of their defensive capability, right? Is the fact that first of all, they need to be doing it throughout the game.
Yeah.
But it's kind of been a thing that's stuck around here over the past few games. They're letting teams get hot behind the 3-point line early on, and that's something this team, I think what's made them so good defensively is they've defended the 3-point line really, really well as a team. And you see in today's NBA how offense is largely based on how well you perform from the 3-point line. I guess it's nice that the Thunder don't have to rely on the 3-point shooting to get wins, right?
Yeah.
Whereas other teams like the Clippers last night, they were completely relying on that 3-point shot to get that win. And even watching that first half, you felt all along, you were like, Clippers are red hot from three. Thunder aren't guarding the 3-point line very well, but the Thunder are still winning this game.
Yeah, whenever they clamp down, they're not going to be able to score.
Right.
But that is a weird thing. It does feel like, the Pelicans in that Nuggets game, they didn't start the game with any sort of emphasis on defense. It didn't feel like they were really closing out on people and really giving the effort that we've seen. And then, like what you're saying, Rob, like at the end of the game, they somehow have to muster this like miraculous comeback. And it's like, well, if you just did that the whole time, you wouldn't have to worry about it as much. I'm sure it's a lot harder than just
play good.
Just do it better.
You just don't do that.
Yeah.
As far as because it really does seem, and just going back through, because it seemed like Denver just hit everything from beyond the arc. The defense has kind of stepped up later in the game, especially those third quarters. Utah this week, 27.6 from 3. New Orleans goes 22.2. Denver, despite that hot start, because they started, 6 for 6 or 7 for 7, they end up at only 32.4. And then last night, kind of the anomaly of the 4 games, Clippers shoot 52% from 3.
Wow.
Damn.
But you get the win.
Right. And I guess that's the good thing there is, like, despite that, you get the win. But that's probably going to be Billy Donovan's focus rolling into this next week, right? Is, hey, we got to defend the three-point line. If teams get going early on against us, especially on the road, they're going to get confidence, and it's going to be hard for us, below-average offensive team, to come back and win these games, to your point, Rob. If they dig these holes, they let teams get hot early, they let them build confidence, and they dig themselves holes, that's not going to bode well for the Thunder because right now, offensively, they're just not good enough, I don't think, right? Even last night, the Thunder's offensive rating, what was it last night? Hold on, I have it right here. It was 107.2, which is below their season average. So, again, in a game that they won at home, they actually bring down their offensive rating for the season, which was, I believe, 17th or 18th going into the game.
Well, and that's always going to be the problem, is that they're going to, which we talked about a lot during the beginning, the start of the season, was can this team rely on defense going forward? Like, is this something that we're going to be able to count on, like, throughout the season? And it seems like you can. It's just it's really hard to do every single game. Like, it's so much easier just to play better offense than it is because of the desire that you have to play good defense. It's just like rebounding. Like, this team's going to be really good, but you have to want to rebound the ball. Defense and rebounding are that way, whereas offense, you can kind of go through the motions and get better. Offense is always going to be better defense, and so you kind of have that advantage whenever you're an offensive team. So I think that's what the Thunder are going to have to fight with all season as well, is you have to want to play defense and you have to want to rebound every single game, and they don't have enough shooting whenever that effort isn't always there.
End of the season rolls around. Let's say the Thunder, I want to know what you guys would rather have. The Thunder be first in defensive rating like they are now and be right around where they are offensively. What's 18th or so? I don't know the exact number. It's around there, though. Or would you rather them be around 5th in defense and 10th in offense?
That sounds better.
Where you're a little
just
more balanced.
Where you can actually trust the offense a little. Like, because right now...
It's hard to say, though, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, the way they're playing defense is just so incredible right now. Like, there's certain times in games where you're like, they can't score at all.
Yep.
Like, they haven't even made a basket in, 7 minutes.
And that's what makes it scary, too, when you think about the idea of Andre Robertson coming back. Yeah. You know, who knows if he is 100%. That's scary as hell. Like, you insert him in that starting lineup. And I don't know, like, is there something to that? Last night, how many minutes did Terrence Ferguson play? 15 minutes last night. Alex Abrines is kind of forced onto the floor for 20 minutes. Early on in that first quarter, played 8 minutes in that first quarter. I tweeted something about it. And he stayed on the court into the second quarter. Is that because Ferguson isn't giving Billy Donovan enough? Or is that Billy Donovan trying to get something out of Alex Abrines? Or both?
I think he's trying to get something out of Alex Abrines. Even going back to that Pelicans game where Russ makes that pass, I still think that was drawn up for maybe not Abrines to be the guy to take the shot, but that motion, that cutting motion, knowing that if Russ drives, he can cut and get open. I think that play was drawn up that Alex Abrines would be there. So, yeah, I think Billy's gotten to the point where he sees Alex Abrines. He knows that he can kind of be that shooting gap or make up that shooting gap that they don't have right now. And so it's just like throw him in there and try and get something, try and find some sort of spark with Alex Abrines because we desperately need some sort of shooting. And if he can be the guy, that's huge for us because he's playing better defense than he has his entire career right now. He's showing that he can at least stay on the floor for an extended period of time because he's not such a defensive liability. So try and get something to spark offensively.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical about that defense that we're seeing out of him, though. Like, early in that first quarter last night, we saw him on his heels a lot, and guys were popping threes in his face because he was so scared of getting beat off the dribble. I don't know. I don't want to be so down on Alex Abrinas right now, but I need more. I need more out of him, and I think everyone listening right now needs more out of Alex Abrinas, and Billy Donovan clearly needs more out of Alex Abrinas. I mean, do you agree that that's probably why Billy's put him out there? Because I think that's a good point, Justin. I think that clearly this team needs the shooting, and hey, let's see if this guy can be the one to provide it. And if you totally just ignore your shooting, because Alex Abrinas hasn't done anything over the past week to earn minutes, right? But if you just completely ignore the guys that on paper or probably in practice are your best shooters off the bench, you're not even giving yourself a chance to make shots, right?
And I will give Alex credit for last night actually going to the rim a couple times.
Yep.
And like he did some, like I wish he would do that kind of stuff more. And I feel like that is a way he could get a shot to start falling, is like see success from other spots of the floor. So
on a scale, ignore that. Let me start over. On a scale of a Patrick Patterson layup, which is a 1, to a Steven Adams offensive rebound is a 10. How much do you trust this team right now?
I'm at a Jeremy Grant corner 3, which is about a 7.
It's pretty solid.
I was gonna go 6 on that.
Yeah.
All right.
So, well, it's 6.5. How
Okay.
about that? We'll bridge the gap there. It's just there are so many good things, and maybe this is just me being a homer and loving this team so much and knowing that they can be better. It's almost like I just expect you guys. I know you guys are better than this. I expect you guys to be better than this, and so maybe it's a little bit of optimism. There are a lot of bad things that I'm seeing. These last 4 games, they're minus 30 in the fourth quarter. Minus 30. They're only positive.
I think that goes back to Rob's point. I think that's a really, really good point. And when this team falls behind, they struggle to. I mean, because then they're scrambling, and this is not an offense that you want scrambling.
Yeah, the defense is great. The offense sputters.
Paul George is great.
I know they can be better, and
He's so good.
There are just so many bad things. I'm sorry. I'm finding it hard to put this into words because I'm at a 7, but I almost don't know why I'm at a 7.
Yeah.
Well, you got that faith, you know.
Here's what I will say about the team is that I don't think that we can just completely ignore what we've seen prior to this little slip-up they've had in this past week. Like, I know the schedule was soft, but, hey, they were winning the games. And these are games last year that they weren't winning. And that team last year, like, if you compare that team last year that won, how many, 48 games? 48 games last year to this team. Just watch those two teams. They're completely different.
So different.
They're completely different. The mood around the teams is different. In the locker room afterwards is different. This team is way more joyful.
Yeah.
On the court and off the court. They play together, and I know offensively it's not completely clicking, but they're confident in it. And there's no panic, and there's no joyless games. We're not seeing those. Even when they lose, we're not seeing it's not hard to watch. You remember how hard some games were to watch last year? And it was just like, I don't even like watching this team. This team, even when they lose,
it's all right, yeah.
You feel okay about it.
And that's something I was thinking about last night, is how much Russ has struggled lately with his shot and everything. And then there was a moment where PG almost hit this like kind of crazy shot, and Russ was like leaning back, and he's just like super happy and smiling and just all about it. And it was just like, that was cool. Like, even though he's like having a hard time with his shot, he's still joyful and like just excited about everybody else.
And doesn't that show you that Russ just wants to win, man? Yeah. Russ just wants to win. Like, he goes 4 for 17 last night.
In threes though, baby.
2 games before he goes 4 for 18, I believe. We'll get into that in a bit. But I want to start off on a different note when we get into this stuff. Paul George, MVP G. Where is he at in the MVP race right now? Because I think this is gaining steam.
He is. I don't think you'd put him in the top 3 as of right now, but I think you're right. I think like he's moving. He's on his way up.
Who would you have in the top 3?
So it's tough because like some of the guys that I want to have. So currently, it's hard to put guys like Kawhi Leonard for me in there because he's missing back to back.
He's played 23 of their 31 games.
That's kind of tough. But whenever he's out there, did he like his? He's exactly what they needed.
Does it change anything that he didn't play against the Warriors at the Warriors? They kill the Warriors. Then Lowry doesn't play against the Blazers. Kawhi does, and they lose the Blazers.
He sucked.
Lowry, MVP. Really messed that up.
So, like, I think it kind of depends on who, like, on those guys, like how high you would have those guys. But the Raptors are 23-8. It's hard to ignore that.
People are gonna want to give him that too.
Right.
I think people want to see him stay in Toronto for whatever reason.
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I do too.
I would love to see
and
that.
an MVP award would help that, right?
Right.
I mean, so he's 10th in scoring right now. I mean, he leads the league in steals, I think. Still.
Kawhi?
No, I'm talking about
Paul
Paul George.
Okay.
Switch back. Sorry.
Good switch.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if he has like the gaudy numbers, but he does have like the defensive end of it. Like, so you look at Paul, or
he's very respected on that end.
Yeah, you look at James Harden, who's got 30.9 points per game. His team sucks balls at the moment.
Harden's playing like
but
crazy,
he's playing
though.
really well.
Yep.
And I think everybody's kind of like,
and they're getting
it always
it
goes
going
back
a
to
little
numbers, and they've won, I think, their last 3 or something. So I don't know. I think Paul's numbers would have to come up a little bit more before it really gets serious. I do think he's, like the last week, he's been incredible, and I think people are starting to notice that game winner really helped him out. I think if he has more moments like that where it's like he just pulled this team through playing horribly and won the game for them, like those type of moments,
and they're adding up. Those things are stacking up.
Yeah.
He's doing it almost on a nightly basis right now.
Right? Yeah, and that's if you look back at Russ's MVP year, I mean, it was completely different, but he had those moments that stuck in everybody's
MVP
mind.
moments.
It was like, that was incredible. Like, how could you forget that? Like,
how soon before we start hearing MVP chants at the line when Paul George goes there?
I think
it's got to be starting.
I heard a little bit last night.
A little bit last night.
Yeah, like
faint. There's like 4 people.
Not very many at all. But
let's get that going. If you're listening to this and you go to the games, it's time to get that going.
I think it'll be a hot take here.
Uh-oh.
Even
Could have
before-
saved that for
even
later.
before-
You know the Sizzler's coming out, right?
Actually, yeah. You know what? That's a good point. I'm going to save that.
Don't forget it. Write it down.
I'm gonna put that one in a baggie and throw it in the fridge.
Nice.
Ooh,
That's
leftover
a classic.
Sizzler. Okay. All right. But
Marinated.
here's what I'll say. Like, kind of what we had talked about is, like, the Raptors, I said, with Kawhi Leonard, then you have, like, the Nuggets. I don't know who you could really pick off the Nuggets.
It'd have to be Jokic, but they
Yeah, there's...
And then the Warriors, where you had...
By the way, here's Jokic's numbers before you go on. 17.4 points a game, 10 rebounds, 7.6 assists. So those are great numbers. 1.4 steals, 0.7 blocks on 48% shooting. Probably not good enough numbers.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point, is that you have these top teams in each conference that those guys who you would pick as the best player on that team to give the award to just don't have the numbers, or they don't play enough,
or they're like canceling each other out, like with the
a little
Warriors.
bit. Yeah,
like there's Durant and
although
Steph
Curry is off the charts
my
this year.
God.
Like when he's played, he's been insane. Like I think that to me,
he makes sense to me
right now.
now.
Durant is probably ahead of him for some reason, even though
because he's been there.
Yeah, but they suck when he plays
but they
by
weren't
himself.
very good when Curry wasn't in the lineup. Curry's only played 19 of their 30 games.
Bet you they won those.
He's shooting
mostly.
50% from the field, 48% from 3, and 95% from the line.
48% from 3, which has come down since he's come back.
And he
which
shoots
is
10 a
insane.
game.
Yeah, it's insane. And so with all that being said, like the Lakers are right there. The Lakers are a half game behind the Thunder. So, I mean, LeBron is still going to get consideration. But, like, Paul George has to be right there. I don't have him in the top 3.
He's top 5 for sure.
But top 5 I feel perfectly fine with.
If Russ somehow, by the way, Brandon, you're really bad at basketballs.
Shame.
If Russ picks it up, if he comes back and maybe not like 100% what we expect from Russell Westbrook, but even 90%. No, well, I'm just hypothetical here.
Shame.
Russ comes back and like just plays like a normal Russ the rest of the year. Does that hurt Paul George as far as his MVP candidacy goes? Because when Russell Westbrook comes back, I feel like everyone looks at it's still Russ's team. Paul George has probably been the best, if not 1B to Steven Adams over the last about month.
I don't think it does. My first reaction was, yeah, it does. But now I'm thinking, I don't think it does. Like, because I think that if Paul George keeps playing the way he's playing, I don't think anything Russ does affects that. Like, as long as Russ keeps shooting. Russ shot 17 times last night. That's a good number for him. Yeah. If he makes 10 of those, that only helps Paul George's game, in my opinion. I don't think that takes shots away from Paul George. It opens things up for the entire offense.
And you win more games.
And you win more games,
as well.
I think he probably needs to be a top 2 seed. The Thunder need to be a top 2 seed with Paul George's numbers for him to get that serious consideration as an MVP. Would you agree with that?
I don't know that I would agree with that. I think it depends on how the Rockets do, because James Harden, I don't think his numbers are going away.
No.
Yeah, they're not.
And CP3 hasn't been very good this year.
Right.
What's really interesting is the whole like Harden Russ thing a couple of years ago, whenever Russ won the MVP, Russ had averaged a triple-double, was like killing it, but the Thunder didn't do as well. Like, you could see the exact opposite this year, right? You could have Harden, whose numbers are going to be incredible, and the Rockets could be a 5 seed, a 6 seed in the West,
right.
and you could have just the exact opposite, where Harden might win the award as a 5 seed this season.
The difference is that Harden won last year, and so you know kind of how it goes, and I feel like they won't want to give it to him after being the 1 seed last year and then give it to him again as a 5 or 6 seed. Probably not.
And that team isn't viewed as bad, especially whenever you have Chris Paul, as the Thunder were whenever Russ did what he did.
Definitely, and I think there's something to just kind of narratives to start the season. I think we talked about this recently, but the LeBron thing, if he gets him in a top 4 seed, home court advantage, they're going to want to give it to him because the Lakers have sucked for a long time and now they're good.
Yep.
The fact that the Lakers are already there bodes well for LeBron and the Lakers going forward. Like, I thought it would be a little bit tougher at the beginning, but I also thought that the Rockets would be up there. So if the Rockets were up there with the Warriors and the Thunder, you'd have the Lakers at 5. You could make a case for a couple of other teams that might still push up there as well, but it seems like the Lakers are going to be right around where they're at now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Some other candidates would be Giannis that we didn't mention. Yeah. I mean, he might be the leader, honestly, in the clubhouse.
Yep, they're
second in the
Super
East. Listen to his numbers. 27.6 points a game, 13.2 rebounds a game, which is amongst the leaders in the league, and he plays forward. 6.1 assists a game, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks, and he's shooting 59.3%. That's crazy.
That's pretty good.
And I think he's shooting something like 12% from 3 also.
That's
and he's still shooting 59% from the field. That's wild. So it's going to be, if they're a top 2 or 3 seed, it might be hard to beat Giannis.
Yeah.
If they're a top 2, if they're the second seed in the East, like, I think it's a shoo-in. He's going to win.
Really?
Because
numbers are impossible to ignore.
Well, and you have, I don't think that they'll finish there, but that would be incredible. You have these other teams like the Celtics, the 76ers. Those two, I mean, those are good teams as well as the Raptors. Like, if they're able to get the 2 seed instead of, let's say, 4th in the East, like, that's a big accomplishment, I feel like.
Yeah. He really is shooting 13% from 3.
That's insane.
I also feel like you talked about the narrative and with Giannis, it seems like the media has really been wanting to give him an MVP because they've kind of seen that meteoric rise
like the
to
next in line type.
Yeah. And so if they have a great year, it almost seems like one of those like, well, we've been waiting to. He's been anointed the MVP of the future, anyways.
Right.
Maybe it's time to pass that along to him.
Either way, it's just really fun that we can even have this discussion about Paul George right now because he's playing the lights out, man. He's playing with consistency we haven't seen from him since he's been in the Thunder uniform. He said that I don't know who he told this, but he said that he's playing the best basketball of his career right now. How many times have you seen the last few games where he's just crossed guys up and popped a 3 right in their face? I mean, that
one he was dancing on Gallinari and did the step back 3 in his face last night was so sweet.
The swagger he is playing with right now is off the charts. And that would have been my point, is that like a casual fan probably can't tune into a Thunder game and watch Paul George and just be wowed that much, right? I mean, they're not just going to be like, oh my God, who's this guy? Right. But if you just see like the way he plays, that's what makes him so impressive is he just stays within himself. Man. He's so smooth. He does it on both ends. Is he the best two-way player in the league right now? He really might be. I mean, Giannis again, but
Giannis and
Kawhi,
yeah, but like you could say that Paul George is better offensively than Kawhi is right now with what he's doing.
Oof, I don't know.
It's tough.
Maybe.
But also, Russ is at, according to J Troll Films on YouTube, Russ is at 2.4 steals and PG is at 2.1. So Russ is actually leading the league in steals. I was wrong.
He's also first in defensive rating.
Yeah.
Russ is?
Yeah.
Wow.
98.2.
MVP.
He does. So let's talk about Russ for MVP real quick.
He's quietly averaging a triple-double again.
While shooting 2% from the field.
The assists had been down. He's picked it up. He's now at 10 even on assists for the season. He's averaging a triple-double, and no one's going to – like, I didn't know. I had no idea he was back there.
We're getting into Russ. We'll get into Russ in a second. But before we get into Russ –
we got something else. Shame!
Oh, yeah.
He's really bad at basketball.
You're terrible at basketball.
I keep getting excited when we got something else, and I get really excited. I'm like, whoa, what is
this
it?
This is good.
I have no points other than that.
This has worked out really well. Proud of you, boys.
Well, let's get to another one of the Thunder's big 3, and Steven Adams. Been playing like an all-star lately. What has to happen for him to make the all-star team? Is this guys, I think that's a realistic thought, by the way. Let me just run through some stuff right here and see if you agree with this initial thought. You can't agree or disagree with this because it's just a fact. 12 people from the West make the All-Star team. Nope. The first 5 are voted in by the fans, right?
Which is stupid.
And then the next 7 are filled in by coaches and front office or whatever happens there. But the next 7, I don't think there's positional restrictions. Right. I don't think. Just the first 5. So the West starters are probably going to be Curry, Harden, Durant, LeBron, and AD. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Either way, those 5 are making it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so there's 7 reserve spots, and I have 11 names here that I think are fighting for those 7 spots. Jokic, Klay Thompson, Steven Adams, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Tobias Harris, Marc Gasol, almost said Powell, Marc Gasol, Lillard, 12 names, because I'll throw in DeRozan and or Aldridge in there. No way both of them make it. I honestly don't think either of them make it. I think that we can scratch them. Chris Paul and Towns.
CP ain't going in.
Any of those names feel like they should just be scratched?
Well, even though it's positionless, like they're still going to be mindful of positions.
Probably.
Like you can't. So it's not. I just feel like whenever you have Anthony Davis in there, and then you talk about Karl Anthony Towns, and you have Jokic, like I just feel like it's more likely. And then Marc Gasol, because the Grizzlies, it's been him and Conley. Mm-hmm. There's just so much competition for him to be able to make it.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget about Capella too. Did you have him?
No, I don't. But I think he's having a little of a down year.
He's scoring more than Adams is right now.
Is he?
Yeah, he's got 17.7, and Adams is at 16.
Guess I'm an idiot.
But I mean, so Adams is like 12th in scoring among centers right now. That's East and West, though.
Adams does have one of the best defensive ratings, if not the best, among centers in the league. Mm-hmm. And people are starting to take notice of what he's actually doing for this team on a night-to-night basis, which is cool.
I still think you can have both, like, as reserves behind Anthony Davis. I think you can still have both Jokic and Steven Adams on that roster and be okay with it. Mostly because Jokic can kind of spread the floor a little bit more, so he's not. At that point, you're looking at Anthony Davis and Jokic both kind of will spread out. They'll take open like deeper shots than Steven Adams will. So you're only really saying you have one true center, and then you've got 2 guys that are kind of floaters.
Yeah. Don't forget about Cat though.
Yeah, and Cat.
Well, and also like Russ's struggles. How does that impact it as well?
Right,
because if you have Russ and Paul George that you can just throw in there and say, yeah, those 2 are going to make it every other year, but what it feels like this year, but then it feels even worse that Steven Adams may not make it. But now that you say Russ is really struggling, and maybe you're going to notice that Paul George and Steven Adams are playing so well right now that maybe you can make that actually help.
I think that might be his case to get.
But it might be, but it's also going to be impossible for those coaches, I think, to ignore when they look at they're looking at the rosters and they're picking the All-Stars, and you see that Russell Westbrook is averaging a triple-double.
Right.
How are you going to leave him out of the All-Star game?
All-Star?
Yeah, how are you going to leave him? I mean, he's still doing so many other things. He's just not shooting the ball well. And even if you look at his numbers, like they're not they're not terrible. Like when you just look straight at them.
They just feel bad.
It's just been bad here recently. They feel worse than they actually are, which is interesting. Locks. Jokic is a lock, I think.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we can lock in Jokic.
Lock him in. Do we
lock in PG? He's for sure.
We had like a 3D effect that I had made, but I forgot.
Lock in Lillard. Is he a lock? I don't know his numbers.
I think so. Yeah.
I honestly think you can lock in Russ too.
Really?
I really do. I think he's a lock to make it. I think his reputation carries a lot at this point.
Then Adams
it'd be weird if he didn't.
You really think?
I think so.
I really think there are only 2. You're only going to get 2 Thunderers on this All-Star roster.
You forgot a few errors.
And it's either you get Paul George and Steven Adams, or you get Paul George and Russell Westbrook. You're not going to have 3 of them.
Yeah, currently, like now, if they play really great up until that point, and they're first, let's say they're first in the West, and they're looking great, like I think you can make the case that it looks like that's the best team, and especially in the West, and like you could have. Maybe that way you get 3. But currently, the way that they are now, I don't think so. I don't think you get 3.
Yeah. You're probably right.
I think it really hamstrings you with the 5 fan votes. I think that really hamstrings you because they're just
fans.
We're not at the point where there's a guy that's getting voted in as a starter that doesn't deserve it. But you go back to when Kobe was a starter. Look, Kobe got it because of his great career, not how he was playing that year. That's kind of the problem with the fan vote. And then you're leaving someone off the roster that truly deserves to be there. And I will say this, just kind of as a caveat, there's always those injuries that happen right before the All-Star break that could leave a guy off that does open the door for a third guy like a Steven Adams or a Russell Westbrook that might get left out.
He's definitely fringe. Like he's on the fringe there.
For sure.
Which is really cool that he's up there. And
like even if you for sure put Russ in there, now we're sitting at Jokic, Paul George, Russ, let's say Lillard. It's going to be hard for Adams to make it over Lillard. I mean, Lillard is the best player on it. It's not happening. So what are we sitting at? 4 guys there. We have 3 spots to fill. Gasol probably makes it over Adams, I would assume.
I would think so.
Just because they deserve to get one in. What about Tobias Harris, who is Western Conference Player of the Month?
Man, he's not
going to make an All-Star team.
I don't think he's going to make it.
I don't think he is
They're
either.
Also trending the wrong way. That's part of what it is. For
sure. That's what, and CP3, he's going to be a hard guy to leave out probably because
but he's
his reputation.
Also an asshole, though.
He is, and he's honestly not been very good.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah, it's so fun.
If it happened right now, who and I told you Paul George was in and Russ, and the Thunder had one more. Would you assume it's Russ or it's Adams? Right now, these are the numbers you have. Let's say this is what they're averaging right now is what they average by the time that the game comes around.
And you can pick one.
And let's say two of them get in. You're saying you believe Russ would be the second one instead of Adams?
So. I do.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I'm going with Adams. I'm with you on this one. I think Adams has to be your second.
That's a mistake.
But are you saying, like, are you asking me?
It's a mistake.
I mean, see, I don't know that it is. Like,
it is.
It's Russell Westbrook.
I don't know. Yeah, see, I don't know.
And he's not playing very well. He's playing really bad right now.
Ooh.
He is. He's playing really bad. Like, I get it that he's rebounding.
It's not Sizzler time yet.
I get it that he's rebounding the ball well, and he's getting assists, which I love. Continue to get assists. But he's shooting the ball terribly. Whenever he's in the game, it feels like the Thunder are struggling. But Steven Adams, especially right now, the way he's been playing, the way that they've been going to him offensively, still playing great defensively, he is playing better than Russ is right now.
Totally agree. I just think that it's going to be really hard for them to overlook Russ. And even if you look at his numbers, he's shooting 43.5% from the field right now. Yeah. It's not like it's in the points. 30s. So I know it's crazy because it feels like he's shooting the ball so poorly, which he is lately. And
that 61% free throw percentage doesn't help much.
It's better than Adams.
Yeah,
that's what's sad.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt you.
It's like 10% better than Adams. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be upset if it was Adams over Russ because Adams deserves it, man. He's doing so much. He's doing really more for this team than he ever has. So you could make a case that he's been the Thunder's MVP this season. You really, really could. I mean, I don't know that I'd agree with you, but you could make that case. Well, let's get into Westbrook, shall we?
Do it.
What's going on with him? Like, what's up with the shot? Is it a rhythm thing? Is the injury hanging around? Like, do you buy that theory that, hey, I think that angle's still bothering him a little bit? Or can he just not shoot the ball? Is this a mental thing going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with yes. Just all of the above.
Yeah, just everything. I think as far as the ankle goes, I think maybe it is lingering a little bit. He doesn't look as explosive. When he gets into the paint, he doesn't look the same. He's trying to – now, this is also kind of a mental thing. He's trying to draw more fouls than actually go and make the bucket. He's just he's waiting for the guy to overcommit, then he's putting the shot up like towards the glass and just waiting to get the free throws, which of course he's shooting 61.6% from there. So
why are you doing that?
And he's shooting the least amount of free throws per game since his second year in the league. Your point,
he just doesn't seem the same. And I don't think just one off season kind of makes that much difference. I think there's something lingering around with him.
Well, and I think on that point, he doesn't even look the same as he did before the ankle got hurt. Yeah. Like, he looked incredible when he came back this year at the start of the year. Like, he looked very good, and he was getting to the rim more than he had in the past.
And finishing really well,
and finishing extremely well.
So
to me, that doesn't say he's declined athletically. It seems like he's just not quite right.
So month by month for us, October, he was playing. So basically his numbers, the amount of time that he's been playing has gone up. So in October, he played 33 November just slightly up to 33.3, and then December now we're seeing 35.7. And his points are declining. In October, it was 25. In November, it was 22.3. In December, it's 17.3. Like, to me, the injury, I just don't buy the injury thing. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
I buy more into the idea that he's still just trying to figure this team out. Like, I buy more into that than I do the injury thing, because the injury thing feels like such an excuse to me. It feels like, dude, if you're hurt, don't play. Like, you can't say, and Russ will never do this. He isn't making the excuses, but there's a lot of people that are making excuses for him that he's not right. Now, he very well may not be right, but if you're not right, don't play. Like, if you're playing, there's no excuses. Shoot the ball how you always shoot the ball. Like, that's what I can't get behind that. I just can't do it.
Well, and he was playing better whenever he came back from injury in November. He was playing better than he is right now in December. And like, that's where I struggle with the whole injury thing. And maybe, to me, if you want to say it's rust off of that,
nice pun.
If you want to say that, I'll buy that a little bit. Like, he's still, maybe it's uncomfortable. I don't think he's injured, I guess is my point. And it feels like what you were saying, Brandon, it's a little bit of a cop-out. But if you want to say that it's like just a little bit like he's rusty, then that's fine. Like, I kind of agree with that off of the injury, but not just he's injured. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not really worried about anything outside of the jump shot. Like, I know he's not finishing at the rim very well right now, but I feel like he'll get there. I'm not too worried about that because you're at the rim. He should be able to put it in there. And like, the declining athleticism is another topic, and he's obviously going to do that. However, I don't know, incrementally. I don't know how much it's dropped off, but it's probably, he's 30. I mean, the guy's 30, so it's going to fall off just a little bit at least. However, that jump shot, man, he used to get to his money spots and you felt really good about that mid-range jumper. How many looks did he have last night in the Clippers game that were like from the elbow? And they are shots that he used to never miss.
Yeah.
Like, no one's around him, and now teams are just gladly letting him take them.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that's spooking him out a little bit too, and that's getting in his head that, like, why isn't anyone guarding me? Or maybe it's in his head that, like, oh, I shouldn't be taking these shots. I need to be taking threes or getting to the rim.
Just overthinking kind of thing?
I think he's completely overthinking. I think when you watch him, I saw a switch go off in him last night too, in the second quarter, where he wasn't playing well up until that point, and he played a great game last night. I thought, outside of the shooting, he was 4 for 17, but he did everything else really well. I think he had 6 or 7 steals in the game, a lot of assists, a lot of rebounds, hustled his ass off, got on the floor multiple times, played really good defense. I saw a switch turn in him where I just knew it. I knew he was going to stop thinking, and he was just going to go play, and that's what he did, and he started playing really hard. And that's what he has to do continuing going forward, is just control the things he can control and don't think so much, because hopefully that shot starts falling. But if it doesn't, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? You know, like right now, I think I wonder how much of a cop-out it is also to say, well, this team's just so new, he's still trying to adjust. I think there's some validity to that. But what about in the 2015-16 season? KD's last season, that Western Conference Finals season. One of Russ's most interesting seasons of his career. He shot a career high. Well, not a career high. It was his second best. 45.4% from the field on 18.1 shots, which is one of the lowest of his career when he's been a feature. And that was just, they didn't have Schroeder, obviously, who's going to take some ball handling duty off of him. But he averaged 10.4 assists that year, just 7.8 rebounds. That's when his assists really skyrocketed that year. So that was that first year he started playing a little bit different of a game. He started initiating the offense more. The ball was in his hands more than it is now. But I don't know. I think there's some similarities from that season to this season. And he was awesome that season. He was so good that season. And I think it's just the jump shot right now.
I think it could be just the jump shot. It's hard because he's such a different player than he was, especially that season. Like, obviously, the year after Kevin Durant left, he had to completely change his game, and now he's having to change his game again. Because,
revert back almost.
Yeah, figure out how did he play with Kevin Durant, and how can he do the same things that he did then with Paul George now. And I think that, for me, what I kind of chalk this up to is Russ is still trying to figure it out. I don't think he knows exactly I don't know that he's picking his spots the best that he can. And I think that's more so, for me, what I think the issue is more than anything else. So I looked up these numbers to figure out kind of what is his sweet spot. Where do the Thunder have the most success? So whenever he takes 18 or less field goal attempts, the Thunder are 10-2. I think that's a decent number. Mm-hmm. You said 17 that he shot, I think, against the Clippers.
Yep.
18 or less, 10-2. Like that seems like a decent number for Russ to find his rhythm and his spot within that game. Everybody agree with that?
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
5 or fewer 3-point attempts. The Thunder are 11-2.
Yeah, I like that.
5 or fewer. 5 is still a lot for Russ.
And obviously a little of that is affected by him jacking up more when the Thunder are down.
Sure.
But still.
I think it just enhances the point.
Yeah.
The fact that I don't know. That's not how you catch up, I guess, is the point there.
You mean Russ shooting threes?
Yeah, Russ having to. But 5, I think, is reasonable. Like 5 a game, it seems like a lot still for Russ. Like it seems like 3. You can find your spot 3 to 4 times, but
yeah, I mean, you saw it last night, right? He goes 3 for 3 from 3, or 3 for 4.
Perfect.
62.5% or better from the free throw line. 62.5% or better from the free throw line. The Thunder are 9-1 this season. He's shooting 61.6% on the season.
That's insane.
That's depressing.
That's what's so weird to those free throws. Like, what the hell?
What is that?
There?
It's contagious too, right? Because we're seeing it.
It's contagious.
It's contagious. Caldwell Pope.
Yeah.
Another one here: 9 or fewer rebounds in a game. So if he gets 9 or fewer in a game, the Thunder are 8-1. I think there's a bunch made about him sort of chasing rebounds, and if you extend that
done here,
yeah, I'm out.
If you extend that number 9 to 11. The record goes to 10-2, so they pick up 2-1 there. But you also get the games against Utah and Golden State, which are significant wins. Mm-hmm. So 11 still seems pretty significant. If he gets 12 or more so far this year, the Thunder are 3-5.
What do you think? What do you think that is, though?
I think with all of these numbers, it's hard to. We're looking at a portion of the season and the scheduling. Obviously they were playing easier teams. Like you can't just put everything into that and say here's exactly what you need to do to win.
Especially obviously. Rebounds,
just
like,
do these exact numbers and then you will
but
win.
I do think that there is something to it whenever he quote unquote chases rebounds. I'm not going to say he does it all the time, but he definitely does it. You can tell he cheats off of his guy on defense and whatever else. Like I think there is something to it. It's just not black and white. You can't just look at it and say this is how you win, this is how you lose.
Do you think
but there is something there?
Do you think it has something to do with mixing things up? Just the fact that Paul George grabs a couple more, Schroeder grabs a couple more, Jeremy Grant grabs a couple more. It just gives the defense different looks in transition. I mean, because obviously the game plan a lot of times is for Russ to get that rebound and push the ball, but right now Russ isn't pushing the ball at some crazy pace that it's just unstoppable. And if you rewind 4 years and you get the speed of Russell Westbrook 4 years ago, and he's grabbing all those rebounds, like that's hard to stop. Like, what are you gonna do? But right now he's not the same player in transition.
Right, and that's the biggest part because you said earlier you could count on those mid-range jumpers. You could count on Russ in transition previously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He looks bad at times in transition. He looks uncomfortable. It looks odd for him.
Yeah, he looks like he's like, I don't know, he's like almost scared. It's weird.
It's something strange. Like when he gets to the rim, it feels like all of his layups are like short.
Yeah, he's not getting lift.
Yeah. That's
like he hadn't thrown down a dunk in a long time. Well,
and that's kind of where I go back to that uncomfortable thing. But there are times he's
two-hander against.
Yeah, he's done some pretty badass dunks a couple times. But I don't know. There's just at times he just seems uncomfortable.
It's almost like his feet aren't keeping up with as fast as he wants to go right now.
Maybe
in a weird way. Like
against the Clippers, I don't remember. It was in the first half where he looked extremely fast getting to the basketball. I don't know if it was that loose ball or what it was that he dove on the ground for. But there was one time during the Clippers game where I was like, holy cow, that he is super fast.
Yeah.
I wonder if the rebound thing has something to do with just everyone getting a little love, too. Everyone touching the ball a little bit, just creating that energy, you know?
It would be interesting to see if there is a correlation between Russell Westbrook grabbing defensive rebounds and if there's a spike in the opposing team pulling down more offensive rebounds. So basically, because he's kind of he's chasing more on the defensive glass, if that has any effect on him leaving his guy and them pulling down more offensive rebounds.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, you're really bad at basketball.
Yeah,
you are terrible at basketball. Shame.
He doesn't like it. We picked a good one.
Trying my best.
All right, fellas.
Welcome into Rap
Sizzler, sizzling up some of the finest takes on this side of the mighty Mississippi. Now, let's send it over to your chef, Chef Rob, and see what's on the menu tonight. Take it away, Rob. All right, we're back.
Woo!
Oh, man.
How
it's been a while.
Work?
You guys did this last time when I was having a baby. I missed out. I was jealous.
Good to have you back in the Sizzler.
I almost left.
Back in the saddle, you could say.
Oh, I like that.
Hot damn.
Woo! Oh, man, boys. I'll tell you what, I feel at home now.
Hell yeah.
All right. Man, those hats look good,
Thanks,
boys.
sir. Thanks, sir.
You too, Sandy.
$7, Amazon.com.
All right, so I'm going to serve up this first one. Then we'll pass her around.
What you got on the menu?
You guys ready for this? We just talked a lot about Russ, and I threw out some Russ stats. I got a few more Russ stats, but I'm going to throw this out there.
Okay.
Less is more with Russell Westbrook.
Hot diggity dogs.
Let me throw this out here really quick. They played 20 games. In the losses, his minutes and field goal attempts are up. In the losses, field goal attempts and minutes are up, while his points per game and his field goal percentage are down. You guys getting these?
Yeah.
These stats are important, boys.
I had a spider on me.
God damn.
Just a strap.
I'm listening. Say that again.
Kill
though.
the spider.
I'm listening,
got
but
that
also say that again.
Cowboy hat on there. In the losses, minutes, field goal attempts are up.
Yeah.
While his points per game and field goal percentage is down.
Mm-hmm.
Also in losses, he attempts almost double the amount of three-pointers, but shoots a worse percentage. You can look at other stats too. There's free throws where the percentage is insane, where he makes a lot more whenever they win, but it's still at like 60 whatever percent, and he shoots 50 something percent whenever they lose.
So you're just saying
less is more with
Rein
Russ.
it in? Is what you're trying to say?
Think so.
Pull on them reins, boy.
I think so. That's what I'm serving up.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Tastes good.
Tastes good.
Yeah, it tastes good. Who's got another Sizzler? I got one on deck.
Okay.
It goes
Fire it up.
along the lines with the Russell Westbrook thing. Russell Westbrook goes against what you just said, though.
Oh, okay. You said it tastes good, so all right.
I just think he's got to keep shooting the ball, though.
Oh.
Okay, I'm not saying 25 times a game, guys. Calm down. Jesus Christ.
All right.
I'm just saying, don't be afraid to take that jumper. Get to your spots. Get to that elbow jumper you like so much.
Yeah.
Get there because check this. I got a stat. You said stats? I got a stat for you.
Hell
He's actually shooting the highest percentage from 2-point range of his career.
Wow.
Say that again.
I'll say that one more time. He's actually shooting the highest percentage from 2-point range of his entire career at 50.4%.
Well, fuck me.
Oh God.
Wouldn't it get? He looked like he just needed to say that.
Yeah, he
I was
did
just-
get it out.
Just
But-
in there.
I don't think anyone would have guessed that, right?
No,
No, I wouldn't
not
have. I would have said you were wrong.
But
You wrong?
He's shooting that mid-range jumper a lot less right now. So he's trying to pick his spots, but
Yeah.
it's weird. He's getting to the rim. Remember early in the year, he was so efficient getting to the rim. Like there were those charts coming out, floating over
Love
Twitter.
charts.
Charts. But he was one of the top 5 players in field goal percentage at the rim in the entire league to start the year, and I'm sure that's dropped off a little bit. But that's interesting to me. The reason I say that Russell Westbrook has to keep shooting the ball is because I think that in the end, it's the best thing for this team. If he can shoot the ball better than he's shooting the ball right now, he's got to find that shot. It puts this team over the hump. It makes this team really hard to beat.
Possibly. That dog won't hunt for me. I don't know if I'm buying that one. I don't know if I like that.
Sounds like you
taste.
don't believe
Definitely a
in Russ.
damn saying.
Yeah, I'm down on Russ, to be honest with you right now, and I
I don't like you anymore.
You're not allowed to root for him when he gets good again.
That's
I'm
right.
allowed. I reserve the right.
That one a little too undercooked for you, Rob?
It is a little bit, yeah.
Hey, here's a weird thing that I just want to bring up because
Okay.
there's nowhere else to. But it's a stat that really has no other place.
It's a safe place.
It's a hot stat.
It's a hot
It's
stat.
a side dish.
When the closest
Cream
defender,
stat.
when the closest defender is 6 feet or more away from Russell Westbrook, he's shooting only 28.6%.
Is that good or bad?
So he does not need to be wide open.
Those are basically they have to be from 3,
Yeah.
and that is,
yeah, that ain't good.
that's not good.
he needs to be covered to make.
I don't
his
like
shots.
this side dish.
Yeah, that one's not good
Boo.
either. I don't
What's
like
coming
that.
out the kitchen next? What y'all got? What
All right,
you
I got one.
All right.
This is kind of a not very good take.
Okay.
But maybe
wow.
it is.
Way
I
to
don't
have
know.
confidence in your.
Oh, hammy-doo dialla.
Feels like we're going to get
I
Sam
tell you
Mandela.
what, boy, that fella needs to play more minutes.
Woo.
Shooting 49% when he's in the game.
What about when he's out of the game? What's he shooting then?
0%. Needs to get back in there. Last night he had 10 points. He's been playing very few minutes lately, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like when he's involved.
I like how our accents go in and out.
Yeah, I like.
You just don't want to overdo it, you know.
Yeah.
No,
I just think he needs to be in the game more than Abrinas, who's not providing anything.
Ooh, so that goes against what Billy is trying to do right now.
Yeah, I don't like it. I disagree, Bill.
I think you can do both. I think you can do a little of both. I'm with you. I think Diallo, you got to stick with him even when he doesn't play well, because I think that he gives this team something that they need. And
got that spark in him, you know.
He fits into this team really well. You know, like if you were to outline the best things about the Thunder, the traits, the personality traits of the Thunder on the court, those would align perfectly with all of the same ones as Hamidou Diallo, right?
That's right.
Huh?
That's right.
Okay.
But don't you have to hope? So for that take, don't you have to hope that Abrinas kind of figures it out and turns it around?
Well, yeah, I hope he does.
I mean, he's got to shoot more, and so maybe you see more Diallo at the cost of like Ferguson instead of Abrinas.
Yeah.
I have something to pair. I have a dish to pair. Woo. I don't want to cut you off, Justin, but it just fits so well with Jason's dish here.
Let's see it.
I like
one of. And are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even sitting down
right now.
You
got your mouths moist?
I do now.
All right.
Did you hear that?
One of moist. Terrence Ferguson or Hamidou Diallo will be traded this season.
Oh, that tastes like shit.
Oh, God.
But it will be to bring in a guy that can help this team immediately, because I think what you're seeing from this team right now, what are they, second or third in the West? I think third.
Yep, third.
I think that you have enough good signs from the team. You're already spending all this money. There's already enough positives to this team that I think that they can get behind and they can really continue to go for it like they did to start the season. I mean, they were all in to start. Why stop now? So I think if you can get good value, guys, I'm starting to lean that it might be Diallo too.
I don't like
and
this
I think
at
that
all.
a lot of people are not going to like this, but I do wonder if the ceiling for Diallo is as high as we all assume it is, because he's such a
jump in the air and then see what happens.
Such
fella.
an athletic player. Everything is based on.
You know
his
what I'm talking
athleticism.
about? That's hang time, partner. That's what that is.
You
ever heard of hang time?
He's so high up there cleaning them windows, huh? You know.
That was my cowboy Michael Cage.
Yeah, no, I think we all got that part.
How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about that though?
I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not
you
sure.
Still
I'm on
like
board.
change.
Yeah,
Cowboy
he
Jack.
doesn't. Yeah,
everything stay the same.
I think
in my day.
That goes along with my take here.
Oh,
God.
You're using my.
It's a little.
To get to yours.
It's a little similar. It's a little similar.
I tried to steal my move, partner.
Getaway take.
Here's what I'll say. I'm going to throw this one out there really quick. The success or failure for this Thunder season still lies in the hands of Sam Presti.
Oh.
Yeah, that goes right along with my dish.
Yeah.
Good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you think a move's coming?
I think a move has to come. Like, I don't think that the way that
it's coming,
the lack of bench involvement and confidence in what they provide is just not there, and it can't be for a team that's trying to, I don't know, if they still want to say they're competing for a championship with the Warriors, right? You can't have what they're providing.
I don't think there's any way Sam Presti looks at this bench and says this is a finished product. No way. No way. I mean, like,
I hope not.
I think that goes right in line with what I was trying to say in that last point, is that you're already spending $73 million in luxury tax or whatever. Like, what? Why are you going to stop there if you're going to be happy with this bench? No, you got to get a better wing, and I think they'll do everything to get a better wing, even if they have to overpay. I think that they will this year.
Bye, Alex.
And I'm not saying money-wise overpay. I'm saying actually if you have to maybe even lose the trade on paper at first for the future, I think that you might see it.
Well, I kind of feel like I brought this up during the Aftershock, but I feel like this is very similar to what we had last season, where we didn't realize how bad things really were until they completely fizzled out in the playoffs because you couldn't trust anything. You couldn't trust. They were so top heavy. You couldn't trust those other guys to come through.
Well, you got to talk about Melo.
He's a great guy.
So
hell of a fella.
That's what I'm worried about for this team, especially if they sort of stand Patrick Patterson at the rest of the way.
If they stand Pat.
Yeah, you didn't pause long enough. You just said Stan Patrick Patterson.
That's how we do it in the South, boy.
I heard you got a specialty dish you're bringing out the kitchen tonight.
What you got there, old Justin?
One, Brandon's really bad at basketballs.
Shame, boy, shame.
MVP chance will rain down from Loud City like a much-needed thunderstorm during growing season as Paul George plays a hell of a game and the Thunder beat Dallas to head into 2019 on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
All right. I like
that.
that.
And it's going to be loud, and everyone's going to know that Paul George is coming for that MVP trophy.
What a weird game to focus on. Just some random game versus the Dallas Mavericks.
Get that revenge, right, partner?
Well, okay, so I wanted to give a little bit of time. Well, we won't know if it's revenge or not because there's the game on the 30th.
Well, now you
because I'm talking about New Year's Eve, the one in Oklahoma City. Because obviously,
all right.
I don't think they're going to be chanting for Paul George to be MVP in Dallas.
You don't know.
But my thing is, it gives us it's enough time. It's still about 2 weeks out.
Crazier
right now.
things happen.
The great thing is, like, I think Paul George will continue to play really well, really start to bolster his resume for being MVP, and that by that time, everyone in the peak is going to start to resonate a little bit more.
You know, I wouldn't mind him shutting down that Luka Don kick. Huh?
Yeah, no.
He's so terrible. I hate Luka.
Hey, his face.
So much.
He's a good player, though, you know.
Bet he can't even ride a horse.
Bet he can't.
Oh.
Probably never even seen one.
Speaking of these cowboy hats, you guys remember that DeAndre Jordan picture whenever they took, do you remember that at the beginning of the year where they had DeAndre Jordan? I think Luka was in it. And they had him with the cowboy hat on. You guys remember that? How awkward that was?
Yes,
Not as good as this group right here.
That's right.
No.
See that? Hell no, it won't.
No, you are so festive right now, Rob.
Yeah, it's Christmas time. I don't know if you guys heard.
Well, Santa
You guys
Rob.
been outside?
What'd you get us?
Some hot takes. You know what I mean?
You got more?
With the he broke his hat.
My hat broke.
We got more. We're done.
I think we're done.
Yeah,
Are we
we're
done?
done.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was good.
What was the best dish tonight?
Oh.
Oh, we're not taking off the hats yet.
Oh.
What was the best dish?
Probably one of mine.
They were all
We're
similar.
all gonna pick our own?
They're all, yeah.
All right.
It's a standoff?
We'll let the YouTube chat pick.
Oh, God. He went quiet.
I'm
doing this?
I'm slowly pressing R2.
We'll let
joke.
the YouTube chat decide what the best dish of the night was. Give us your best dishes too, and maybe
Ooh, I
we'll read
like
them
that.
as we're in the social
we need to
media.
get some outside dishes.
Yeah,
Bring 'em
bring
in.
them in from outdoors. Bring them some
no
Tupperware.
outside food or drink.
Oh.
In this kitchen, we allow it.
This makes me so much more hot, too. This hat and the sweater.
I was thinking that earlier, man. You look good.
Yeah.
Oh. You took it that way.
Are we gonna do these inquiries?
These? Yeah.
Social media inquiries.
I'm struggling moving things around over here, guys.
I've got so many tabs open right now.
Good. It's always good to have tabs open. Tabs are the best.
From Marcus at Marv's. Billy Donovan looks like he's forcing Abrinas to come out of his funk. Why is the same luxury not afforded to Two-Pat? Also, when is it time to stop believing in Abrinas and letting Hamadou and Burton or even TLC and Nader try to prove themselves?
I think it's an interesting idea about Patterson but I just think it makes less sense to try to force him coming out of his funk because it looks like there's no evidence that he could.
Yeah.
Also, you kind of know what you're getting with Patterson, right?
Wow.
That's a veteran.
Bricks?
Bad play. But you kind of, Abrinas is still young, and
That's true.
you know, you kind of want him to come out of his slump even more.
I agree because I think a good Abrinas impacts this team greater than a good Patterson.
Yeah.
Because what even is a good Patterson anymore?
I don't know.
I don't remember what that's like.
I mean, what's a good Patterson game? 2 threes, 3 rebounds.
No, that's
weird-
a little high on the rebounds, and I don't know
Probably
if you can do
so.
that.
How about some intangibles? No missed layups that are pretty much wide open.
Oh, he's terrible.
Not,
He can't do that.
Not fumbling a rebound out of bounds that's literally in his
Or
hands.
not coming into the game and throwing an inbounds pass to the other team
That was
directly.
Oh my God.
What the fuck is that, man?
It's so strange.
He threw
man.
a curveball
so
pass.
Well, that's kind of impressive.
I didn't know you could do it. I'll tell you that.
I think the Thunder still ended up with the ball, so
Well, yeah, works out.
he was using that veteran presence, keep them on their toes.
Didn't expect to get the ball.
What, didn't he say something about TLC and Nader?
Oh yeah, TLC and Nader.
What about him?
If it's time to let them try and do it instead of trying to force Abrinas.
I've been surprised. Me and Rob talked about this on the Aftershock a little bit over those 2 road games when, the bench was struggling so much. I was really surprised we didn't see either one of those guys, mainly TLC, because when they had to turn to him during those injuries, he
seems
wasn't
okay.
terrible. Like, it wasn't any worse than what we're seeing from these role players on the road right now, so.
Yeah.
Next!
All right. From Sean's Johnson at imort7.
Squirt it at us, baby.
What?
What's happening?
What can we trade Patterson for, and how quickly can we make the trade?
Oh my God. Yeah, if you're gonna trade Patterson,
By
do
himself.
it.
You
You
can't
do
do
it at
that.
the beginning of the year.
Yeah, before he showed what he was.
Not now. Yeah, now. I mean, his value is going to be low. Luckily, he's a veteran, and he has like at least some sort of track record that maybe carries some weight with other teams that they might be willing to take a chance on. That maybe he can fit in their system better than he fits in the Thunder's.
You think maybe they send like the trade proposal along with a highlight video up until he became a Thunder?
He wasn't horrible last year. We're being unfair, but he wasn't great. You know, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like he shot 39% from three.
And
last
you know, he
year or
wasn't
something.
playing his natural position in it. But
It's true, but he still made if he just played like he did last year, this year, it wouldn't
be
be
okay,
so
yeah.
bad.
I'd be okay with it.
What is he shooting from three right now?
Well, it can be good.
Last I looked, he was at like 30%.
It's
So I
got to
don't
be
know
around
what he is.
28, 29.
29.3.
Not what you want.
0.8 makes on 2.7 attempts.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I will say something good about Patterson.
Please.
He sets decent screens.
The problem I have with Patterson's
People
trade
in-
value
people in the
is
game.
that you would hope, being a veteran, like you would be able to move him to a contender, somebody that needs what he hopefully can bring, which is
What is
3-point
that?
shooting, but that's exactly what the Thunder needs. So
Yeah.
that hurts his value even more that he's not successful with the Thunder.
Agreed.
All right, from Russ MVP at Russ MVP 19. Would you like Jabari Parker in the Thunder uniform?
That's a negative.
No
for me.
thanks. No thanks, dog.
I ain't about it.
Even without the contract.
I mean, are they going to buy? Yeah, well, that's the
He's
question.
making so much money, and also he's not very good.
Yeah, I mean,
Makes $20 million a year.
yeah.
That's too
ridiculous.
much.
Way too much. It's about 15 at least million.
He'd come here and be like Patterson.
If he didn't make that much, though, I wouldn't mind it. Like,
Yeah.
that's a decent guy, but not for $20 million a year.
Hell no.
Yeah, no thanks.
Nope.
Moving forward.
Yeah, my Chrome is dying right now, so
Up. Hold on.
We'll just sit here until it doesn't.
I've
die
got the
anymore.
pinwheel of death right now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right.
Beach ball.
OKC Thunderama at OKC Thunderama. Is Grant's contract one of the best in the NBA?
I don't know if I can go that far. I feel like he's very adequately paid, though.
Yeah.
Appropriately paid, I should say.
I think it's a solid deal for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's
But it's not like we're not like chipping him.
right now. If he was like a mid-level guy, I could get behind that.
Yeah.
God, man, when sometimes we don't get it all the time, but sometimes when you see him and Noel in the game at the same time and they're blocking shots left and right,
So
it's
badass.
so fun. Like that
Oh.
is a lot of fun. But
Was at the start of the game he had like 2 blocks in a row? So nice.
yep. And how many blocks did he get credited with last night?
Not as many as he
3.
should have had.
Yeah,
he
I
had
felt
4
like
or 5.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he looks like Nerlens Noel out there. Like when they're blocking shots, they have the same style on defense a little bit.
Part of it also is you're paying for that upside. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen growth in him, and like that's going to continue, I feel like, and that's part of what you paid for as well.
Yeah.
7 for 8 from 2 last night. Jeremy Grant was.
Love it.
It's good.
Man, I'll continue saying it. I think this team needs to look to go to him offensively even more than they do, because I think if you get him in a matchup, you get a smaller guy in him. He had Avery Bradley on him at one point, and he just reached over him and put the
It's the
ball.
best.
Yeah. Next.
Oh.
Hey,
Again,
he's so loud.
just really.
Well, I gotta let you guys know that.
Shame!
Oh,
Yeah.
This is just the shout.
really, really bad at
now
basketball.
you're yelling.
From Russ MVP again at Russ MVP 19. Should Billy go away from the Schroeder and Russ lineup so Russell can have the ball in his hands more to get out of his funk?
I actually like Schroeder having the ball in his hands when Russ is on the floor.
Especially late. I like it late.
Yeah, and then I also say no because I want these two to continue to gain chemistry together because it's
Right.
going to be so important later in the season. I get the question. I get what you're trying to get at there, like as far as letting Russ get into that rhythm that he cannot seem to find. But I don't think that's the way to do it because you want to get him into a rhythm in a way of in a style of basketball that you're going to play throughout the rest of the year.
Right.
You don't want to do it in a different
Where it works
style and have to just
in
go
the
back.
setting of the team.
Yeah.
Also, you're really bad at basketball balls.
Yeah, you've said
Basketball
that a couple
balls?
times.
Really bad.
So bad.
I mean, really bad.
Probably the worst.
Next.
Not a question, but a little update from our Aussie friend Michael Cage, headphone scan at the Brody 2020.
Such a good name.
Prefaces it, once again, not a question. Just want to thank everyone in Oklahoma City for an amazing experience. Coming from Australia, I felt so welcome, and everyone I met was so welcoming. I'll for sure be back. Also, the game experience was unreal, and I met Presty.
That's awesome.
I asked him why we didn't get Corver, and he said we didn't have enough.
Wow.
Oh.
That's really cool, though.
That's
It's just
pretty
cool to hear
badass.
about someone coming from across the world to Oklahoma City.
Yeah. I never thought that would have happened in my life.
Yeah, and just
Because
having a
of
great
people's,
time.
Like
and,
coming here on purpose.
and it being something that he was really looking forward to doing, and it fulfilled everything he was looking like. That's really cool to me.
Yeah.
I hope he had a good time. I hope
Yeah.
he ate some good food, and obviously he said he had a good time.
Yeah, I think he did have a good time.
You think?
It seems like he had a good
Well,
time.
I'm
I'd say he had a pretty good time.
I'm going to believe
But
it.
I'm glad you came.
More
You know,
details would have been nice.
come back next time.
Yeah.
And have a
come
good time.
back. Let us know. We'll meet up.
From
Maybe.
T at Drinking Tea, has Rocking the Baby cursed Russ in a shooting.
Karma. Are we going karma here? Is that what's
what
to
it
blame
sounds
about
like.
Russ's shooting?
Yeah.
Did Murray do it after
Yeah,
he did? I didn't see it.
He
I
did
heard
do it?
that.
Well, he said too small. He didn't do the rock the
Oh,
baby.
okay.
He tried
Yeah.
to do his own version. What an idiot.
Well, Russ used to do the too small thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's used to be Russ's thing, and now he.
All right.
What's happening over
Oh
there?
my God! You watching a murder video?
That wasn't me.
Oh.
That was
Oh.
you?
That was Rob.
What are you doing over
It
here?
was definitely Justin. Just
It definitely wasn't.
okay.
Well, still
me.
though.
He's
You watching
trying-
football down there?
No, I'm. What are you talking about?
Okay, so first, I want to ask
Jeremy
for
Grant.
thoughts from you guys. Will Russ break out of this shooting slump?
Yes.
Yes. Rob doesn't believe it. Just
Rob just
move on
stared.
from Rob.
2 out of 3, we're going yes. When?
Give him a month.
Oh my God!
Another
A
month?
month.
Yeah.
He's not
Jesus.
breaking out if he goes a whole nother month.
What about against Chicago tomorrow night, huh?
That sounds like a perfect time.
Good opportunity. No Zach LaVine.
Also, we got to win those. Chicago and the Kings coming up?
Yep. At Sacramento, who the Thunder just do not play well.
Haven't
against.
beaten.
Second home game in the month of January.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is.
We'll write
That's
it down.
just- yeah.
We'll write it down next.
From Kerry Cicero, our last one, by the way.
Okay.
At
Old Cicero.
66, which Thunder player has been the biggest surprise this year, good or bad?
That's a good question.
I'm going to just continue to go Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
Because he's just been so damn good.
Yep. Consistent too.
And
Like it's not
gets
like
better.
He's not he's so consistent.
Yeah.
And it's hard. That's a hard position, not basketball wise, but
just on this team?
On the team to
Yeah.
be consistent and not being the number 1 guy, not being number 2, not being number 3, not
Or
even being
4.
number 4.
Maybe not even five.
He's probably the 5th guy. He's probably the 5th guy. And you're not always going to get those opportunities, and he just plays within himself, man. I love Jeremy Grant. I'm so happy he's on this team.
Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah, I think you can make the case for Steven Adams has been
That's
better
true.
than
You guys,
what we thought.
you guys feel like
Paul
as
George
they've-
even.
as they've
Yeah.
been just going to Steven Adams, like in these sets where they're just like, you just get the ball. And I feel like he's gotten a lot better just
So
from
much
that
better.
happening. He's like Kiwi stepping and
There was a stat I
Yeah.
saw,
It's
and
fun.
he already has more post-up touches this year than he did all of last year.
that's
Steven Adams.
crazy and really badass. I'm glad they did that. We've been asking for it for a while. So
Remember how often we used to talk about going to Adams in the post and how he just didn't look confident? He dribbled one too many times, and he looked like he didn't want to be
like
there.
he's figured it out.
Looks like he wants to be there right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
He's
Loves
like,
it.
how many times are you seeing him actually get doubled? Russ is wide open in front of his face, and he doesn't even pass it.
because
He
he's
w-
gonna make it, and the other guy might not.
But it's funny. Before
Yeah.
it's like, here, Russ, you take it.
Yeah,
No longer. No longer.
That hook is money.
Feels good.
so
dude.
good. How about some notes?
Let's do it.
Notes.
Speaking of Steven Adams, he took
Shane.
a stab. He took a stab at an American accent. I'm stalling during this note because I
Yeah.
gotta let a certain someone get
I'm
ready.
ready.
All right,
Shame.
everyone, shh, because we gotta listen up hard for it.
Oh, hold on. Let me pause the music first because that's
This
awkward.
is a train wreck.
This is awkward.
Hello, my name is Steven Adams. You're watching Thunder Basketball.
Not quite. Is it really that hard for a New Zealander to do an American accent?
I thought he did pretty solid.
Like, is an American accent hard for people to
That was
do outside
terrible.
of America?
I have no idea. I've heard. I mean, look at guys like Christian Bale. you can't tell that he's actually English unless you know that he's English. Like
I just learned that he's English.
Oh yeah,
just this moment.
Just now, this moment got that.
Yeah, no, he's incredible at it. I mean, look, outside of the weird lisp on basketball, like if he doesn't do that,
I
like,
thought he was
it was
joking
actually
about
pretty good. Jim Jeffries does a good one. He's an Australian comedian, so
It helps if you spend a lot of time in the country.
yeah,
I would assume.
it definitely does.
Yeah.
It sounds like he has bodies in his basement that he puts lotion or makes put lotion on themselves. And
Put
Gotta
the lotion
stay
on the skin.
moisturized,
You know,
baby.
gotta put the lotion on the skin.
Steph Curry doesn't believe the moon landing thing happened.
Yeah.
You guys buy into this?
No.
I
He
buy
said he
into
was- he
that
said he
he
was
doesn't
joking.
believe it. Yeah.
He said he was joking.
Justin's getting fired up right now.
This goes back to the B.O.B. thing, and same with Kyrie saying that the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
It's really, really dangerous when you have celebrities that people look up to that spew this kind of nonsense bullshit,
Oh, God.
trying to trying to get like they're defaming science and accomplishments of mankind. It is incredibly, incredibly dangerous because other people will be idiots and follow what they say. That is dangerous for our society to ever like just go against what science has to say.
But if they didn't want this to happen, they would have just actually landed on the moon.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Got him.
that's quiet.
I actually completely agree with everything you just
You're
said.
really
Justin.
bad at basketballs.
Patrick Patterson,
Shame.
So,
guys.
shame.
Patrick Patterson is 1 3-pointer away from hitting 500 in his career. When's it gonna happen?
Next year.
March 27th. I don't know if they have a game that day.
What if he retires at 4.99?
Oh.
Oh,
That'd be
man.
so sad. The Thunder Sunset jerseys, we talked about them last week. They are official. You can actually see them everywhere now if you want. Just Google them. They're gorgeous too.
I love
them. Like they're probably my number 2 Thunder jersey right now behind the statements.
Yeah, I like that. Just do a little different with
They're
the
my
outline.
favorite.
Really?
Yep.
You like them over the statements?
I like them a lot.
Is that
yeah.
just because they're new and fresh, or
Probably
you just,
so? Yeah.
You guys ever
fair.
know that a hot toddy is not good when it's a cold toddy?
Well,
It
blow
lost
on it
its
a little.
temperature.
Thunder are reportedly interested in Contavious Caldwell-Pope, something we didn't get into today. Really, thoughts on this? We don't really like to get into trade talk, speculative trade talk, because it's just so no one really knows what's going on. How do you guys feel about KCP?
You know.
Sure.
Okay.
He helps his team, right? He helps a bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Can't be
hopefully,
worse
hopefully he
than
can
what
shoot
they have, right?
better than what we've got.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'll agree with that.
You guys gotta cool down on these takes.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd be all
Sheesh.
for it.
it's not
I would be
super
all
exciting,
for it.
but it's
so
something.
he makes $12 million. You'd have to give up something like maybe Patterson and Abrinas. but
Sure.
Why would they want that?
Yeah.
Why would they want it?
Because
Obviously,
they're
you can-
winners,
You can throw
guys.
some picks in there. Maybe you throw 2 second-round picks or something like that in there. Would you do that trade? Abrinas, Patterson, 2 second-round picks for KCP, 1 year of them? I don't know what his bird right situation deal
Send
is.
him out. I don't want those guys.
Send him out.
Send them out.
I would be down. Yeah.
Yeah. Send them out.
Might as well take a stab at it.
What about Andre Robertson?
Nope.
No.
No.
Pass.
Good answer.
Oh, that was a test.
It's a test.
All right.
What did I make?
Oh, what do we at here? Phoenix wanted Dylan Brooks, not Marshawn Brooks. Good stuff.
Man, teams are dumb sometimes.
Didn't they still get that deal done the next day?
Well,
Not the
the
three-teamers.
Grizzlies didn't
Right.
get in there
Yeah.
because they're dumb.
Yeah, that's what it was.
All the Brookses are still where they're.
Was it
In
their
first
fault?
place.
I'm
As I
still
men-
not clear on whose fault it was.
As I mentioned earlier, Paul George says he's playing the best basketball of his career the other day, and I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to remind us all that we need to remind ourselves how lucky we are. That Paul George decided to stay in Oklahoma City. Man, we are lucky. We are
Man.
super.
'Tis the season to
Damn,
remind
this team would have
Yes.
sucked otherwise.
Thanksgiving
Oh,
was
yeah.
just a few weeks ago. Former Thunderer Dakari Johnson is averaging 23.7 points and a league-leading 15.6 rebounds per game in China right
Bring him back.
Corey.
Nice.
He's amazing.
Incredible guy.
Clay Thompson did an interview at halftime during the Warriors game on Saturday versus the Kings, and it was gold, so we got to play it for you.
I gotta stop the music again, you know.
Clay, what are you noticing about the energy and the ball movement tonight that's helping you guys unlock the 3 ball?
It's great on both sides. It's great. Both of them are great. And we're getting out pushing the pace. That's what our best.
Thank
That's-
you.
What?
Oh, that's so good.
I don't know.
That's so good.
It's good on both.
It's where we're good on
It's
at
good
our
on
best.
both.
It's where we're our best.
It's time.
Let's do it.
The very punishment I served today for basketball.
Shame!
So let's update everybody. Well, first off, this game, we pick a team every week.
It's called basketballs.
Yeah, it's called basketballs. They represent who we get and the record. What?
You're really bad at it.
Yeah. The record that you have for the week, your team has for the week, applies to your name. And whoever gets last for the month has to serve a punishment, which is what I've had to do the past 2 months.
Shame.
Rob is in first place at 2-2, tied with me right now. He had the Thunder last week. They went 2-2. He's drawing now. Don't be looking in the bucket.
Did you look? You got the
Grizzlies.
the Grizz? What are you going to do?
They're throwing them back.
Toss them back in. Doesn't trust Marc Gasol. Probably shouldn't be an all-star in that case.
And if you don't like your first draw, you get to throw it back, but you're stuck with your second draw. What you got?
Charlotte Hornets.
Ooh, that's about along the same lines. Rob with the Hornets. He doesn't appear to be happy with
No,
it.
I'm not.
Would have stuck with the Grizz is what you wish? Don't look in that. I saw you start to. What we got?
Spurs.
San Antonio
Ah.
Spurs.
I wish I knew their schedule.
No, you don't.
Can't look.
No, hey, get up.
Hey, give me that glove.
I'm going to stick with the Spurs.
All right.
Sixers,
Alright.
Magic,
Feels like if you-
Timberwolves.
Feels like if you... kind of tough. Feels like if you get a Western Conference team, you better just stick with them.
Not the Knicks, though.
Oh, I hope you
They
did
get
that.
Can I
drawn
throw them
so
away?
much.
Remember whenever you did Pistons?
Stop looking in the
Can I throw it away,
basket.
or do I put it back?
No, put it back in.
Whoa. Let's shake them up. All right. Please get the next.
76ers. All right.
We play each other.
Oh, no.
Oh!
Head to head.
Head to head.
Tomorrow.
So that's going to activate a double. So
Yeah.
if you win, you get 2 points. If you lose, you
Wait,
get
shake it
nice
for
2
him?
points.
Shake it for him, you know? Can't just not shake it.
I'll shake it
yeah.
for him. I got no problem doing that.
See how he goes here.
Hawks.
That's not what
Oh,
you
that was
want.
quick.
Automatic.
You
Don't look in there.
Hope he gets the Hawks.
We always say that.
The Yaz.
Damn it. So to recap, Rob has the Hornets. I have the San Antonio Spurs. Jason has
76ers.
Philadelphia 76ers. And Justin has the Utah Jazz. We all have decent teams.
I feel like I'm definitely the worst off here.
Yeah?
I agree with you. Just because that sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Sisters and Scotch for keeping us looking clean and presentable as they do. We're gonna do something there real soon, maybe a little Q&A session there or something. And thanks to Opolis. Also, as we mentioned, we're gonna do that shirt of the month thing. Check that out. A couple games that
The Thunder should win.
the Thunder should win, right? I mean,
They better.
Monday against
Right?
the Bulls. They're 0-1 against the Bulls. A bad loss. You gotta avenge that. Aftershock's coming after that. Wednesday at Sacramento, who you're 0-2 against.
Ugh.
Go ahead and win that. Full show Thursday. So a little earlier than normal. With Brady Trantham of 107.7 The Franchise. We're going to have him on. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to announce that we're going to do a Christmas Eve spectacular show on Christmas Eve.
Those are very fun.
So if you don't have anything going on Christmas Eve morning, join us.
If you don't have any family like us,
We're going to be having mimosas. We're going to be giving gifts. We're going to be just having a jolly old time. Get us out of here, Justin.
I've just got to get myself over me.
see y'all.